Cheers.
Cheers, Sandy. Good to see you again.
Yeah, always.
Well, I grew up in Glasgow, and every one of my father and all of my uncles drank whiskey. It was all blended whiskey back then, but every Hogmanay is a big thing in Scotland on New Year's Eve, and the whole family would gather at my grandmother's house for the evening of through the bells of New Year, right through to the early hours of the morning. And my father and all my uncles would come along with their own bottle and give each other drams. And it would always be bells or grouse or teachers, or my Uncle Jim used to always bring black bottle actually. But that whole thing about them sharing such a great family moment with whiskey always appealed to me. So I couldn't wait till I was old enough to actually join in, because I wasn't old enough back then. So when I got old enough, I started to kind of join in with that too. And in 1983, I was at Isla with some friends, and we did a tour of the Freud. This is before tours and festivals and all the rest of it. But we did a tour of it. We actually talked to the security manager, the security officer at the Freud, and he invited us in and gave us a tour, even though he didn't normally do tours. Took us down to the warehouse, gave us some single cask, single malt, and we thought, this is wonderful. But then he told us we can't buy it because we don't bottle that sort of stuff. And we thought, oh, that's great, you know, what a tease. Then I found out a few months later, there was a society in Edinburgh hoping to give members of a club single cask, single malt, so I joined as soon as I could. And ever since then, my journey's been alongside SMWS really. No. Yeah. Although I've been a member for a long time, well, when I was younger, you know, like to try and earn extra money, I used to work in bars, apart from the main job. So I'd work in bars in the evening and weekends, but I never actually worked in the whiskey business. I worked in financial services in Zurich and Lloyd's of London, and in 2007 the society wanted to extend the members programme around the country so that people that lived away from venues could actually enjoy monthly outturn tastings. And they asked members if any members were interested in joining them to help take these tastings, and I applied for the area I then lived in, which was the south of England, and they asked me to do that job. So for a few years, alongside my job in financial services, I did occasional tastings for members in that area, and it kind of developed from there. I've been with SMWS for probably over 30 of the 35 years.
35 years?
But only an ambassador for 12.
Okay. All right, as a member for...
Yeah, sure, for a long time, yeah. The most difficult aspect of the job is that if you look at the whiskey drinking population in the world, there's probably a very, very small percentage are actually what you would call whiskey connoisseurs or whiskey lovers. By far the most people in the world just buy whiskey and drink it, you know, the common brands that we see. So the most difficult job is getting the message across, I think, to new members, or possible new members, about the power of the single cask, single malt, and the part it has to play in the process, because single cask, single malt is kind of where it all starts, you know. So it's just getting that message across, you know. People need to understand, to help themselves understand, you know, where it, single cask, single malt plays in the process, you know, why it's different, how it's made, you know, what the numbers mean, you know. So there's a
I always find it very intriguing. I mean, it's not easy to remember all the numbers. I hardly can remember 1 to 10.
So just that, so there's a whole story to be explained, you know, and the whole idea of a club of people from different backgrounds coming together for a love of whiskey, meeting here and the new outturn and discussing the whiskey. And well, that's a great idea, but some people need to get used to the idea, you know. It's not how they've drank whiskey before. So I guess the most difficult part is just getting the story across to people who don't know us, or know us but don't know what we're all about. You know, whenever an ambassador gets asked that question, it usually follows a long statement about depends on the mood and the moment. You know, and they'll take different whiskies at different times. When you're asked that question, people are just looking for a name.
That's right.
So I'll give you a name. And I think that whiskey made in a certain place can actually capture your heart, depending on the situation when you go there. Well, I told you earlier that I went to Laphroaig in 1983. That was my first visit to a malt whisky distillery, and Laphroaig and John Calder, the security man, captured my heart. So Laphroaig is my favourite whisky, always. And
there's a sentimental.
Yes,
it may not be just of the flavour, and there's a sentimental reason behind.
Well, appreciating whiskey isn't a mechanical thing. It's,
that's right.
It's an emotional thing as well. And that's where I think there's nothing better in the world than being at the place where it is made and drinking it there. We've always decided that we've always took the view that before we bottle for our members, we have to be sure ourselves that we think it's going to satisfy what we are set up to do. Now, what we are set up to do is give our members whiskey that's intriguing, complex, a bit different perhaps, and will cause a conversation. So we set out to actually produce whiskies that actually make you think. Even if you know which distillery it is, think, my goodness, that's an unusual flavour from that distillery. So we always had that view in mind, so we always had a tasting panel. Currently, and we used to actually a few years ago reject more than 50% of what came before us. But now we have a first stage in place, so our spirits manager, Ewan Campbell, he'll sample first and he'll decide what's good enough to go to the panel. The panel will be there's a pool of 20 people, some SMWS people, some people from the wider whisky industry, some people who know about whisky and their lives revolve around whisky. So it won't always be 20 people, but we'll draw from that pool. Every member will give their views on the aromas and the flavours, and it's the chairman's job to capture all of that. He'll give his own view as well, take it away and summarise that in a tasting note and give it a title. So there's been some interesting titles over the years.
Indeed, yes.
Because some of the people, the chairman, are professionally involved with words. You know, I mean, there's a world-renowned whisky author. There's a very well-renowned whisky singer-songwriter who writes whisky albums and does music and whisky events as a chairman. So when those chaps are the chairman, you can probably likely to get very expressive names on the bottle. Now what it's supposed to do is reflect the tasting note. So what the member is getting is a tasting note and a flavour profile and a headline, but sometimes the headlines themselves capture a member's imagination. So if you've got a date of distillation, for example, which appeals to a member because it's a certain date, it's important in their life, and if that happens to marry with that's fantastic. You'll probably buy a case of it. But so it's a bit of fun. The thing about Andy is that the whole society ethos is that we're having fun through our whisky. We're not trying to be too geeky and analytical, you know. I said once, I don't know where I got it from, but I said that society members come to us with whisky on their mind and fun in their heart.